Hello and welcome to U.S. History A Unit 1. Before you start the video assignment, I need you to open up the focus notes, okay? This is really, really important because I'm going to give you some help on the focus notes, and this will also be part of your assignment at the end of this assignment. So you want to have the focus notes, okay? Cool stuff, guys. I really love Unit 1. So, first of all, we have the lesson on European exploration. Now, the real reason that the Europeans came to America was because they wanted to find a northwest passage to India. They wanted to find a water route from Europe to India. Now, of course, nowadays we know that that does not exist, but that's what they wanted because they knew that a water route was a lot faster. And during the Crusades, they found out that India had really cool spices. And at this time, European food tasted awful. And so they wanted to find those a faster way to get those spices so that their food would taste good. And so that's what they were doing. Um, the problem One of the problems with them coming to the Americas, which was the effect of the European diseases on the American Indians, was that the native people had never had those diseases before that they brought with them, and they were probably dormant in the Europeans at the time. But the Europeans had never been exposed to those diseases, and so they died in huge numbers because of the diseases that were brought. So the reason that the Europeans came was because they wanted to find a water route to India, and they kind of bumped into America on the way. They were trying to say, well, let's go west and see what's there, and it didn't actually work out. Okay, so then we have a new world that we have totally discovered, and it's so exciting. And so they settle at Jamestown and at Plymouth. Okay, and Jamestown, the first winter was the starving time, and there were no crops, there was nothing to live on. Things were really bad. And then John Smith came along, and um, he traded with the Native Americans and kind of made really harsh rules for those who were in Jamestown. If you didn't work, you didn't eat, and people really wanted to eat, and so there was a lot of work to be done. But they survived the second winter, and then they realized that there was tobacco. They could grow tobacco in Jamestown, and the soil was really good for tobacco, and the people in England really liked their tobacco. The problem with growing tobacco, though, is that it really depletes the soil big time. But of course, at this time, they really didn't know it. The Puritans went to Plymouth. I've been to Plymouth several times. It's super cool, and they really were going to, they were trying to go to Jamestown, but they went to Plymouth instead. And their whole idea was not religious freedom; it was freedom to practice our religion. They were a set of Puritans. They left Europe because they wanted to be able to practice their religion on their own. And so then they got to America. They were kind of the only ones there, really, that they knew of, and except for the Native Americans, but we can just kill them off, right? And so that was how they survived. And there was a very strict religious feeling in Plymouth, and that's where the Salem witch trials happened, and that's where a lot of really interesting stuff happened. Okay, the next one is conflict in the colonies. And the French and Indian War led to the American Revolution in really several ways, but mostly it was fought by the British, and there was also the Seven Years War that was fought in Europe at the time, and it really depleted Britain of all of their expense, all of their money, and they didn't have, enough money to do anything with. And so they thought, well, gosh, who should pay for this? And then they decided, well, since we fought this war for the colonies, let's charge the colonies, which actually is not a completely unreasonable idea. But the colonies instead said, whoa, you can't just tax us if you're not going to let us say what we're going to pay. And so that's what led to the American Revolution overall. Also, the French and Indian War was a great place for George Washington because he got a lot of experience with war and kind of seeing how it all happened and stuff, and so that gave him a lot of confidence as well. Okay, and so then we've got the beginning of the Revolution. Um, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, and you can kind of see as you go through the documents about this and the information about this, you can see that a lot of stuff kind of, helped to form the Declaration of Independence. It didn't just come out of nowhere, of course. You'll need to know about the importance of the battles of Lexington and Concord, which was the first battle, with the Minutemen fought, and the shot heard around the world, as it's often called, and we don't even know who fired it. The Battle of Bunker Hill, Battle of Saratoga. I believe Bunker Hill was the one where they said, "Don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes," because they didn't have enough ammunition to make a lot of shots. So interesting. The significance of the alliance with France, and then the last unit is the Battle of Yorktown. And here's a picture of George Washington, and this is right after the Battle of Yorktown, and the British surrender to Washington, and you can see the smoke in the air, and he looks very stately and all of that stuff. So if you're in the alt class, there are some of this that isn't on your notes, but I still want to get you exposed to it. So that's why I put that in there. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you with the next unit. Thanks so much.